All Indiana Politics
is your premier source for Indiana politics, focusing on issues that matter to you.
I still want us to be the best in the Midwest.
We can't afford another lockdown.
Give the citizens of this country the relief they need.
Education in the state of Indiana remains priority number one.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage.
We don't know exactly where the economy will be in January.
People are worried with good reason.
Exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders.
We have the resources here in the state of Indiana to care for those who are in need.
Expert analysis on critical legislation.
We need to reform those laws.
This recovery is going to take some time.
We've got to anticipate that there'll be a budget shortfall.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome to another edition of All Indiana Politics. I'm Phil Sanchez. The knives are coming out for Tim Walz. Republicans are attacking Kamala Harris's running mate over his military career. Walz served 24 years in the National Guard and retired just before his unit was deployed to Iraq back in 2005.
When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him. What bothers me about Tim Walz is the stolen valor garbage. Do not pretend to be something that you're not.
Walz filed his retirement paperwork 2 months before his unit actually got orders to go to Iraq. For his part, Walz is focusing on other aspects of his life, including his upbringing and his career as a teacher.
Minnesota's strength comes from our values, our commitment to working together, to seeing past our differences, to always being willing to lend a helping hand. Those are the same values I learned on the family farm and tried to instill in my students. I took it to Congress and to the state capitol, and now Vice President Harris and I are running to take those very values to the White House.
All right, so for more on this, let's bring in two members of Indiana's best political team now, Democrat Dana Black and Republican Whitley Yates. Good to see you both. Whitley, we'll start. Yeah, absolutely. Whitley, we'll start with you. Walz, as we mentioned, submitted his retirement paperwork 2 months before his National Guard unit received orders to go to Iraq. So given that, is it wise for Republicans to continue to focus on his service time?
I think absolutely it's wise. It's an issue with character and with credentials. When they talk about stolen valor, it's not the fact that he ran from deployment and ran to Congress. It's honestly the fact that he was calling himself a command sergeant major, a rank that he did not fulfill. And so when you go to his website, when you go to his campaign website, as well as on Minnesota's website, it lists his title as command sergeant major, which he never finished, of course, because he retired. And so the problem that you have is he's touting that he is this rank that he's not. He's also touting that he carried weapons of war while in war when he was never in Iraq. He was never in Afghanistan. And so these are some of the issues that Republicans are bringing to light to really highlight the issues with his credentialing as well as his character.
Dana, I'll let you respond to that.
I think that's hilarious coming from people who are supporting the individual who defamed a woman he sexually assaulted. You're going to talk about character? Are you kidding me right now? He served 24 years in the military. Donald Trump had bone spurs and he couldn't go to Vietnam. So let's talk about character. We have someone who has been a teacher for 24 years or 25 years, whatever it was. Yeah, he may have misstated his rank, and I understand why that could be a problem for some, but he doesn't have 34 felonies. So you mean to tell me misstating on his resume is worse than 34 felonies? Or the fact that he's found fraudulent? Or the fact that you have the vice presidential candidate on the other side saying that single people don't have a stake in the future of America? Give me a break. This is they don't have any policies to come after him on. They have nothing to talk about what they want for the future other than Project 2025, which will be a destruction of our democracy. So this is why they're going after his military
right. To that point, though, Dana, how productive is it for the parties to attack each other's vice presidential candidates? I mean, the presidential candidates are the ones on the ticket. Mainly,
exactly. I agree. I agree with you 100%. Obviously, since the disastrous Sarah Palin, I think they want a little bit more scrutiny on our vice presidential picks. But however, if you want to match up Donald Trump with Vice President Kamala Harris, hey, the cop versus the con, let's do it. I cannot wait for that debate. He's going to feel like he's in a witness stand being prosecuted. Oh, wait, that's exactly what will happen.
On that note, Whitley, Democrats are stepping up their attacks, though, on Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance. They've taken to calling his views weird. So how does Vance counter that narrative?
I don't think this is really about countering narratives. I mean, to be honest, what Dana just said was a complete and utter pivot. This man has lied about his record consistently, and we have facts to back it up. He's lied about being in Afghanistan and Iraq. So there really isn't very much there for Republicans to even continue to talk about, because the truth is he's a liar. We've been able to prove that. And that
don't bother y'all.
Looking at the vice presidential candidates, if anything, we should be focusing a lot on them, because the Democratic Party led an internal coup to oust their candidate after the primary and then utilize VP Harris to transcend into a role that she was never elected to. And we are waiting and still waiting for the proxy president to go ahead and be selected by the delegates. So vice presidential nominees are very important, as we can see specifically in this election with these unprecedented times. Listen, calling J.D. Vance weird is one thing, but you also have Tim Walz, who gave tampons to little boys. So you can decide which one is weirder. I think we know the answer. The truth is that the candidates on the left are very progressive. Their ideas and how they want to view or want us to view this country are progressive. And the fact that Kamala still has no policies on her website, we don't know what she stands for or what she's pivoting on from the Biden campaign, is very telling. This is a campaign all on vibes and feels with absolutely no substance.
I know that she is not tripping on lies. She's not tripping on lies when Donald Trump just gave an hour-long press conference that was littered with lies.
Where are the policies?
Where's his policies? He's got none. You know, his all about locking people up.
16-page document on his website.
Project 2025.
Project. Where are the policies?
He's been running for 4 years. He should have a policy up. She's been running for 2 weeks.
Dana,
it's all about lies.
I'll let you
ready to serve.
We can go back and forth all day with this. Walz, so far as you know, Dana, has tailored his message to centrist voters. So does that risk losing some of the party's progressive wing in this process?
I don't think so, because if you look at the policies that he supports, he's feeding kids. He's making sure that LGBTQ plus Americans are treated with dignity. He created a gay straight alliance in the high school to make sure young people are seen and are heard, because we know when it comes to suicide rates in the youth, LGBTQ plus youth are at a higher risk. And so he was saying, let's be welcoming to these young people so we don't harm them any more than that right-wing rhetoric that they spew out all the time. And I'm sorry, providing tampons to kids. I was a young woman who came on her cycle in high school. I wish somebody had given me a tampon. I didn't give a damn if it was in the boys' bathroom or not. I don't care. Just give me one. But the idea that these folks, I think what he's doing is going to bring us all together, because now you have a Midwestern white dude who is in lockstep with the Oakland, California mixed-race woman. You can't get no more American than that. Don't you wish the Republican ticket was that diverse?
I want to let Whitley respond quickly. Whitley, I have about 15 seconds left, and then we have to move on.
You know, I just think it's interesting that Dana is pandering to say that she just wished someone would give her a tampon. Maybe if they took the tampons out of the boys' bathroom and put them in the girls' bathroom, you would have had them.
They did.
We will leave that conversation right there. Stick around. We have much more to talk about throughout the show. Coming up, we'll show you what happens when 3 governors cross a highway. Welcome back. It's been 3 administrations and 18 years. Now I-69 finally complete. Governor Eric Holcomb and his predecessors, Mitch Daniels and Mike Pence, reflected on their parts in the highway's completion.
Obviously, the largest new interstate project in the United States of America, and to have it done on budget and 3 years ahead of schedule just speaks to how our own came together. Hoosiers came together and said, we're going to get something that's been talked about for literally decades done ahead of schedule. So it feels fantastic. We've gone from a lot of talk, a lot of conversation, a lot of discussion, multiple studies to action and dirt turning and to today, where later today, you know, our visitors and our residents will be able to use something that's only been dreamt about. And there were a lot of cynics along the way, a lot of doubters that understandably wondered if it would be completed in their lifetimes. And today we prove that no project is too big.
Speaking of the rest of the system, what's the latest on the bridge over the Ohio River that we're doing jointly with?
Yeah, that's on track as well. I'll be down there in Evansville probably next month, I think.
Yeah.
marking the next milestone of getting down that approach, that plus $200 million that we budgeted to get down to the Ohio River, and then we, as well as Kentucky, will build the bridge, the new bridge.
So, Governor, this thing kicked off under your administration. As a field, we stand here at the finish line.
Now, I got a lot of memories today. January the 20th, 2006, 4 of us in a room. We opened the bids for the lease of the toll road, hoping we could close what they told us then was a $2.5 billion total gap and in future infrastructure needs. And when we saw a bid for $4 billion, I saw a bright future. And in a way, I saw today coming. So a lot of other great things happened along the way. Indiana's infrastructure now is rated #1 in America year after year, and that traces to that. Many great big projects, US 31, the Fort to Port Road at Fort Wayne, the new bridges over the Ohio, Hoosier Heartland Corridor, and many more. But this is the granddaddy of them all. And it's just a joy to see it finally come to completion. The other thing is that a major theme of our time in office was everywhere in Indiana, we're all in this together. Everywhere counts. There's no place too small. There's no place too remote for us to take an interest in. And now we have a complete network. The crossroads of America is now filled in its missing link.
This is the culmination of an epic journey, which I am told is nearly 80 years in the making, that Hoosiers first began to speak about creating an artery from our capital city to Evansville. And I agree with the governor. This is more than just a highway. It's a monument to the determination of the people of Indiana and leadership for generations to leave this state better than we found it, to create opportunities for our children and grandchildren. You know, I heard just the other day that the former Dean of Agriculture at Purdue University, who would go on to be Secretary of Agriculture, Earl Butz, was touring California, and a friend pointed to the Sierra Madre and said, you know, on a clear day, he said, it's absolutely beautiful. And Earl Butz apparently said, you know, there's not much to see in Indiana, but you don't need a clear day to see it. I can only assume that's because Earl Butz never took a ride on I-69 to Evansville. Is it a beautiful drive, or what? It's often said great things are worth waiting for. I-69 is a prime example of this truth. It required patience, determination, vision, and unwavering commitment. Since 1944, I'm told citizens, transportation planners, elected officials always look forward to this day. But the man who brought us to this day joins us on this podium. I called him once the second most surprised person in Indiana in 2016. But I knew in that moment that he would lead Indiana with great distinction and great integrity. And now as we stand here today, 8 years of his record leading the state of Indiana, I-69 is just one more testament to the extraordinary determination and leadership of Governor Eric Holcomb. And I want to congratulate you on bringing the state of Indiana to this day.
All right, coming up, a sexual harassment scandal rocks the Hogsett administration. Indiana's best political team rejoins us to discuss next. And welcome back to All Indiana Politics. Still with us are Republican Whitley Yates and Democrat Dana Black. Good to see you both. A member of Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett's own party has called for him to resign. This after multiple reports, as you know, of 3 women staffers complained to Hogsett about sexual harassment by his former chief of staff. The former staffers say Hogsett ignored their complaints. This is for both of you now. Should Hogsett resign? Whitley, we'll start with you.
I think that in the light of the Mirror Indy article and the audio that we heard, as well as the stories from both Lauren and Caroline, paint a very grim picture, not only of the perpetrator, Thomas Cook, but also of the protector, which happened to be Mayor Joe Hogsett. I think that he protected Thomas, as well as really did not take into account the seriousness of the allegations from Lauren and Caroline. And I think that he should resign. I think that this should also be investigated. And I think that the measures when it comes to reporting sexual assault, sexual abuse, any type of sexual harassment must be updated on a city level as well as the council.
Dana, should the mayor stay or go?
So the Mirror article that Whitley references mentions that there were 2 investigations. There was an investigation in 2017 and a subsequent one in 23. So I wouldn't say that he ignored the allegations, which are horrendous, and shame on Thomas Cook. I mean, bro, that's not, I mean, I believe her. Okay. So I'm not going to, I just believe that he should have taken greater steps to protect women, and he did not. The investigations were there. I also believe that this story, this issue is going to cause Mayor Hogsett some issues if he chooses to run for a different office and he doesn't decide to run, or if he decides to run for a re-election again. When multiple women are coming to you and telling you that a member of your staff is being disrespectful and sexually harassing and traumatizing women, you should be more forthright and be a little stronger, a bit more stronger in your defense of these women, because I believe women. Do I think he should resign? No.
Well, I think it's interesting. In the article, you know, while they're stating that there were 2 investigations, she says she was never even contacted. So I find it very interesting for the administration to be able to say that they did investigate one of these sexual assaults without ever talking to the person that's accusing him of sexual assault, without ever looking at the text messages, without ever hearing some of those audio calls that we were able to see during that investigation. I think the problem is the procedural elements that were not done, as well as some of those in positions of power that seem to be more protective over the position of mayor as opposed to the people working for him.
Let's dive into that a little bit, Dana, and we'll go to you on this because we heard Whitley talk about this. What do you think should be changed as far as the procedures go?
Absolutely. Well, one thing that we have to, I've worked in HR before, and I understand that a lot of times information that happens in HR does not get disclosed out. So whatever that investigation was, from an HR perspective, I can imagine they did not say anything because they could have been opening themselves up to a whole bunch of a litany of other things. And I'm sure their attorneys told them that. So, you know, whether it was the right thing to do or not, it's debatable. But from a legal perspective, that's probably, like I said, an HR issue. First of all, the ability to make a claim, if somebody is sexually harassing you or sexually assaulting you, you should be able to, there should be a chain of events. There should be procedures in place, as Whitley stated, to make sure that no other female or no other person for that matter is put in harm's way. And they should be very visible for everyone to see. And if someone does not follow those, if there's not a follow through on those, then the people that are not following through should be reprimanded. I agree with Whitley 100%. I'm not even arguing with you on the procedures and believing her and things like that. Unfortunately, we live in a good old boy society, and this is not even a partisan issue because we've had men on both sides of the aisle that just don't know how to conduct themselves. Right. That's why we got to elect more women.
Yep. Well, Whitley, what changes would you like to see?
Yeah, I think that any time that there are accusations brought to any member of the staff, whether that be the top being the mayor or someone even in a subservient position to him, that there should be paperwork as well as a thorough investigation that interviews not only the person making the claim, but the person that the claim is against. I think all the information should be gathered and decisions should be made from there. I don't even necessarily believe that it should be public, but I do think that it should be thorough and that the procedures need to be very clear within the handbook for those working for the city as well as the county.
Quickly, I want to get your thoughts from both of you just on how courageous these women were for coming forward. Dana, you take us home here.
Absolutely. These women have been traumatized, right? They have been completely traumatized, taken advantage of by someone they thought was going to help them with their careers, someone that they respected, and they thought he respected them. Unfortunately, I know Thomas Cook, and I've never really been a fan, but I didn't know any of that other stuff. It was just in passing, but maybe I just wasn't a chick he was trying to hit on. But I feel for these women. I wish I had known about it when I was working at the city, so I could have spoken up for them, because I think it is incredibly courageous to come out and address your accuser, call them out by name, and stand strong to it.
Whitley, I'm assuming you totally agree on that. I unfortunately, I'm out of time. I think we can all agree that these women definitely are courageous, and good on them. And fantastic reporting by Mirror Andy. Thank you so much for joining us on a busy day. Thank you again. We'll talk to you soon, and we will be right back. Thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics this week. We'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9:30. Have a great rest of your weekend.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.